Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. The recent population and housing census has again reignited the challenge of serious housing deficit. How do we get around this challenge? How has the rising prices of real estate in the country and challenges with land title registration contributed to this? How do we get around this issue? And what has happened to the push and the mantra of affordable housing in Ghana today? Why has it been so difficult? The system just not helping or what? Well, all these issues wrapped as you look at real estate and land title registration challenges here on PM Express Business Edition with no other than the lawyer and the real estate specialist and executive chairman of Kyeremateng Properties, the JoyNews on PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome to PM Express Business Edition, and the housing discussion again is on the table. And if you've been following the recent population and housing census, it has brought up how challenging or disturbing the situation is when it comes to the capital city or the capital region, if I can use that expression, where we have more structures that have come up that are uncompleted. And most people are also living in kiosks, containers, and the rest. And so how do we get around this challenge? And don't forget that also here at Multimedia, our housing fair is actually, or clinics are going on leading up to a housing fair. How do we get around this challenge? How has the rising prices of real estate in the country, if I could say that, contributed to this, and also the land title registration issues? All these things wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition as I engage a lawyer who has specialty in this area, as well as somebody who is into the real estate industry. And don't forget that the last time he was here, there was push for a part 2 of the discussion. And gratefully, he decided to join us on PM Express Business Edition. And I thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And let me just quickly pick your mind on the recent population and housing census. I mean, were you surprised by what the results showed? That, listen, there are more people coming from the regions to Accra, and housing situation in the capital is getting worse?
Yeah, I'm not surprised because policies on the ground are not actually reflecting what is really happening. And when you can even see this when you go to your village and you go for a funeral or any other social event, or there's any compelling need for you to go there. But Monday, you go around and you see that there's nobody in town. Everybody is going to the city. So virtually, the rural-urban drift is in ascendancy, and it is still moving. And we need to tackle it because, I mean, to me, even urbanization is not even a bad thing because most of the figures that we are getting is going to be that we are going to have more people urbanized by the year 2030. We are going to get almost about 60% of the population being urbanized, and it's reflecting. So urbanization brings a whole lot of benefits in terms of economic development, in terms of the development within the country. And it creates a lot of wealth too for employment and all that. But it's got its own social connection that also create problems for us. So it is a duty of the policymakers, also duty of the implementers for us to look at it critically and find a solution.
But hasn't this kept, I mean, you've been in this industry, and I always want to bring you on this discussion because of your experience in this area, a lawyer working with the State Housing Corporation as a consultant and all the rest. I remember I had this housing deficit thing when I was young as a student, and it's still a problem. Is it that the policies are not being structured well, or what? And as you said the other time when you were here, there are a lot of people out there living in kiosks, containers, and majority of the structures, as the population and housing census has exposed, that they are also not completed. People start houses and they cannot complete it as well.
Fine. You see, when we talk about population, we talk about how population comes about, and it is normally fertility, mortality, and that of migration. That creates increase in population reduction. When you look at the first population census in Ghana, that was I think 1904. So the population of Ghana was a meager 1 point something million people. And at that time, what was the economy? The economy was at a period when there was this growing need for plantations and all that. And by 1890s, when there was the Aborigines Right Protection Society trying to, prevent the colonial government at that time in terms of a crown lands ordinance, not for them to take the land from the chiefs. And so they decided to leave it and then turn around and created the Forest Concession Ordinance, Minerals Ordinance, and all those things. Now, if we look at 1.4 something at that time, and in 2020, we are now, it's 2021 or so.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
Yeah, we are having 30.8 million people. I think we have come very far. But surprisingly, the growth rate is reducing.
Slowing, yeah. And that's another discussion altogether about the impact of it. But sorry, go ahead. You're trying to make a point.
From the year 2000, the growth rate started declining.
Yeah.
From 2.6 coming to now we have 2.1. And then you can see that the household, the number of people in the household is now 3.6.
Yeah.
In fact, from the year 2000, it was from 5 and then came to 4.4 in 2010 and is now 3.6. Meaning that almost 4 people live in a household. Significantly, it is an improvement in terms of what are those people and what do they really do and what are the facilities that they use in order to benefit from this more. Because in advanced countries, like population, it's 1% generally in the whole world, that is 1% growth. But for us, if we are getting to 2.1, I think it's commendable. And our target is looking around 2%. Because you cannot stop growth of the population. When you stop growth population, it means you have to turn around to look at what they will not consume again. Because after that, before you look at the components, the youth, the old age. And I see that as the growth rate is reducing, the old people too are growing, and we are becoming. In those days, the Ghana the life expectancy was about 50, came to 55, 57, and I believe that it has gone beyond it. I always tell my friends that when it comes to when we are above 60. So when you go to Senate, you will see that your father put expired because you are not part of them.
But I was just trying to get your point on one quick thing, that has the policies failed or what? Because we knew that when we had a fair idea about the level of growth in the population. If today we are struggling with structures, housing is becoming increasingly expensive, has the policies not worked?
Yeah, the policies have not worked totally. Originally, this economy was an agrarian economy. And then if you look at how do we build? When you build in those days in the rural areas, they will wait for their cocoa time. And the cocoa scaba. Then they go and buy their roofing sheets, go and buy all the building materials and build. And this has been the trend over a long period of time. And that is why Kumasi, they had Abrosansa and all those things in Kumasi. And I have always been doubting whether people have really looked at what brought about those stream of funds that made us to build up those houses, that our rural folks and then illiterate farmers who have 3 wives, and then they go and then acquire this wealth in Kumasi. It was because of the Marshall Plan that brought funds into Europe after the Second World War. It created so much money, and at that time it was about $23 billion worth of money that was given to France, Britain, and Austria and those people without Germany in order to revamp their economy after the Second World War. The effect of it by 1947, 48, 49, 50, it brought so much money because there was too much demand for cocoa and all that. Cocoa prices moved from 120 pounds or so to 450 pounds per ton by 1950. And the face value of that money is today $25,000, which is so huge. So anybody who is having about 10 acres of cocoa is going to get not less than 4 tons, because 2.5 tons of 2.5 acres of a cocoa gives you about 1 ton. And today, 1 ton is only a pantry sum of $1,500 equivalent to 10,000 cedis. But at that time, 1 ton was giving them $25,000. So when he has a 4-acre land, 10 acres, then they build the houses. When they build the houses, they bring their all their kinsmen and foremen to come and live in it. And then so it was not a problem because the cocoa was bringing too much money. By 1960s, the wealth system corrected this anomaly that came as a result of this, and then streamlined. So if you go and you are in a Greek, you see that all tropical crops are lingering around 1,500 FOB tema to $2,500 per ton, because that is how the wealth system has streamlined. So it doesn't give room for people who are having 10 acres, 15 acres, 20 acres today of cocoa to build houses again. So when that vacuum was created, well, the public service came in, started employing people, trying to bring in young people who were civil servants. They granted them loans to build their own houses. But what is the percentage of the population that came into the public sector? They were few. So it created problem. And then we brought in, as the beginning of Kwame Nkrumah's regime, he started with this Ghana housing department that became the state housing. And state housing actually did a lot of work. Like I said, when you look at East Cantonment, Labone, all those places. But as the economy became a problem by the 70s, we couldn't continue. And there was a hurry of how to raise houses. So the policy of building, the state having cement, you go and take it from Tema, became a problem. So it got to a point that if you were in Kumasi, you want a house, you have to apply to the regional minister, or the regional commissioner, who would then select people who should own houses. And so when the ERP and the Structural Adjustment Program came by 1980s with Rawlings people, the World Bank said, look, you should forget about building houses as a public sector function.
Allow private sector to come in. But don't you think that...
So they brought in Grader. The Grader was established in 1988 through the Ministry of Works and Housing. And the money, the funds that the state got from World Bank was a peanut. I mean, $10 million to establish that made us to create the HFC. It didn't help in any way. It didn't help in any way. So I don't support the idea of insisting that it is the private sector that should lead in financing and funding.
You think the government should play a
lead? The government should play a major bullet payment, big funds into wholesale holder, who would then give it to the mortgagees, and then they would then give us funds. You see, so that when I put up a house, it becomes straightforward for you to go to any of the mortgage companies and take money and come and pay me. And once you pay me, I can develop. So
now you think that the challenge or the delays or the lack of financial support coming from government side to on-lend to private sector has been the major problem when it comes to the housing deficit?
That is all. That is all the problem, because there's nowhere in the world that I've seen that it is the private sector that look for funds. They are lying.
But you're a private man. Why should I?
I'm a private man.
In a pro-capitalist economy, why should government still look for money to guarantee a house and that when people like Nana puts up, it's so expensive for me to get it?
Yeah, I'm saying that because it is easier for government to mobilize. It is easier when this country has a population of 30.8 provisionally until November. And if you look at it, and we have almost about 15 million people being people in various sectors of the economy. I'm saying that we can harness their taxes. We can also have pension funds from a lot of the informal sector.
Let's talk about...
And that money is cheaper money. And it is for longer term investments. That is far better than telling me that I should go and borrow from a bank. Which bank?
They don't have that. There is talk about trying to rely on pension funds to get access to long-term funding to help with the mortgage financing problem.
But the funds
do you think that is a very viable approach that we should go in getting long-term funds so that we can finance this housing situation in the country?
Let's do the calculation. You said from the infancy, when you were a small boy, you were told that there's always a deficit.
As a student.
For me, yeah, as a student. For me, I don't see it as a deficit because if you produce something that there's no demand for it, how does it become?
But maybe you are producing for a high-end market. Whilst there are a lot of people down there, and again, the population census has shown.
Okay, give me a figure. Give me a figure. What should be a price of 100 square meter?
Affordable housing.
Yeah, give me a price.
Myth or a reality?
No, give me. You are also working and you are being paid. So tell me that how much do you think that a developer should build up a house and give you 100 square meter property? 100 square meter property, ideally, if you look at the national housing, national building code, ideally 120 is ideal for a decent living area. But people have been doing 87. These days I even see 65 as 2 bedrooms and all that. Ghanaians talk about bedroom, they don't talk about square meter. But I'll prefer square meter because that can let you calculate how much you want to look at it. And I'm saying that whether you like it or not, $300 per square meter as a basic affordable for a living area is basic, it's standard. You can't change it. The only problem is how much you earn and what you use it for. That is the headache now. That is the calculation we have to sit down and then we have to resolve. Because everybody buys cement internationally. We buy louvers, we buy aluminium products. They are standard. You cannot reduce it. We are in a global world. From the perestroika, globalization has become part of it. So now you cannot talk about anything. You talk about global economy. Formerly, those days when we were small, but you just go and listen to BBC when they are playing football and all that. Today, you look at it and it's being played in Europe. So if you sit down, your gaffer is collapsing, you are weeping. Because they are also going to look for games over there.
But then I was trying to get your thoughts on this whole idea about getting access to long-term funds. There is talk about how we can now rely on the pension fund.
The pension fund is small.
Is it feasible?
It's feasible, but it's small.
It's not enough.
It's not enough because you are saying that there's a deficit. As Allah said, they say 1.7 million houses. And where is the money to produce 1.7 million houses? Assuming that we are doing 200,000 per year. 200,000 houses per year at a cost price of about $300 for 100 square meter property. It means you need a $30,000 per 2 bedroom, which I'm talking about, times 200,000. That's equivalent of how much? About 6 billion or so, or about 600.
Right.
Yeah. And then how are you going to raise it? Are we going to put it on cement? Are you going to? I don't believe that we need to even go into the taxes. We can go back and see how we raise the pension fund. But the pension funds are only 1.5 million people who are contributing to the pension fund. Among them, almost 30% of it are teachers. How much do teachers earn?
So, Nana, you think that government still has to pre-finance, heavily invest in this sector if we want to see the deficit challenge?
If we want to stop crime, if we want to stop most of the social problems, it is housing. Nana, if we want to solve employment, it's housing. There's nobody can convince me in this country that we can look at all those things, thinking about hospitals and schools and all that, and we are not tackling that side.
No, I am government. I've gone in for money, and I want to extend it to private sector persons.
You don't need to have the money sitting down.
Fine. Can I then dictate?
If I know that I take cement and I give a promissory note or a check, and I'm building, and I know that somebody has already bought it, and then when the check gets due, it will be paid. I don't need to take the money in advance.
No, I'm a government. I've gone in for my funds. I want to extend it to private men like you to build. Can I dictate to you then, because I'm lending, about the pricing of these houses then?
I'm against that. We sit down. You see,
because we want to have affordable housing.
You see, real estate buildings and construction are quite mathematical. I'm saying that this is one aspect of business that you can never talk about cheating. Because the thing is calculation. As you know, the number of cement you can do 1 cubic meter of concrete, whether 2020 or whatever. There are 3 types of concrete. So if you want me to build for you and you employ the professionals. I'm a contractor. My duty as a builder, I'm a contractor. I can build a house for you. But my duty is for me to get your design. And then I do the BOQ. If I do the BOQ, you can also send it to your quantity surveyor. And then he will then do the assessment and see whether it is good or not. Then we sit down to agree on whatever that we use for finishing. Then from there, we give it to an engineer who then supervises it because he is well versed in structures and the integrity of the building. It is his duty. So he becomes the consultant who supervises the construction. If it is buildings, more or less, the consultant is most invariably the architect. So people claim that the architect charge so much. Tell them that my friend, I cannot pay you as much as you can. If you want to increase balloons, reduce it.
Because when I ask this question, and let's come back again to
because I'm saying that $300 is basic. Because now you cannot tell me that you screed a fraud without a tire. You do something.
Now, what is your ideal affordable house?
My ideal.
In terms of pricing?
In terms of pricing, I think the minimum of $45,000 for 100 square meter living area of a property. It is okay. If we have to use it either in a form of a high rising, we can come down by a margin of about 10% because it will be compensated by the cost of the land. This is my idea. And when it is being looked at,
1 bedroom, 2 bedroom,
25 years to pay. And therefore, if that's a man and a wife, if the two of them earns an amount of $2,000 equivalent,
$2,000?
Take home. Take home. That is about 12,000 cedis. I think easily. The normal 20-25% of your money should go into what do we call it, the accommodation. I think it's standard.
It's feasible.
It's feasible.
Let's come to one.
We are not looking at it. We are not correcting the differences and the deficiencies in how we price wages and salaries in this country.
You think that could be
that is the problem?
That could be
because
one of the
in 2009,
to this challenge.
In 2009, there was somebody
pay public servants well.
Somebody used to collect something from my one of our
subsidiaries,
and the person was earning 2,000 cedis around 2009 and 2000, and that time it was more or less equivalent of about $2,200. That is $1,200. So system changes, the inflation, bank rates. So now the person takes 3,500 cedis from 2010 to 2021. And the 3,500 cedis or 4,000 cedis today, how much is it? It's just a paltry sum of about $350. And but in the same person, as at 2010, 2009, 2010, was getting 2,000 cedis. And that time, he was getting 1,000 cedis. And that time, 1,000 cedis was equivalent of $1,000.
2,000 Ghana cedis equivalent.
1,000 cedis in Ghana in 2009 was equivalent of $1,000.
Okay.
You get me? But today, the same person has got an adjustment and increment in salary. But he's not getting
2,000 Ghana cedis was equivalent to $1,000.
1,000 cedis. When Kufuor changed the cedi, as of 2007, one cedi was equivalent of $1. 25 cents.
I get
and by 2009, one cedi was equivalent of $1. And that person was earning $1,000 in 2009 at 1,000 cedis. Today, the person is paid 4,000 cedis. And 4,000 cedis compared to 2009 is voluminous, plenty. But where is it now? It is not enough to cover $400. Am I right? So there's something fundamentally wrong. Then as a nation, we should be able to look at the whole world. We'll look at rates. We'll look at, we always say, oh, you use inflation. No, I think we must expand.
We should review our salary structure.
This is the
Now let's come back to the rising prices of housing and real estate in Ghana today. It's a big challenge.
What
It's
is the
so
challenge?
expensive, Nana.
Uh,
It's so because is it the inputs? I mean, what is making it so expensive?
yeah, I told you, we are part of the global world. And if,
Can there be a Ghana situation?
I don't know, with the population of Ghana and Ghanaian situation going to use porcelano cement or something like that. When we were doing business, we went and then we bought so much. The guy who brought them to us was coming from Brazil. And then we were using the Kumasi Building and Road Research Institute. Surprisingly, the thing was not working. It cost us so much. And for that matter, at the end of the day, we felt there was no need of porcelain cement. Whether you like it or not, the standard cement that we use for plastering, that is the Portland. The Portland is used everywhere in the world. To me, the important thing is for us to be part of the whole international system, the home economy, and then look at the best way that our salaries. We look at it. I am not an economist in that sense or the fair wages.
You think that paying people well could be the answer
yes,
to this whole
they should earn
mortgage?
income according to whatever they've worked.
And therefore, then
whatever they earn here, it is too low averagely. Not everybody can buy a house. Not everybody can build a house. In an advanced economy, there are a lot of people who don't earn a certain level, cannot buy it, and they are entitled to subsidy.
But Nana, I'm still coming back to my question about the expensive nature of the real estate houses that is being put up.
Okay.
Why is it
the moment that I would not like to take it that it is expensive.
But Nana,
because if we want to talk about that it is expensive, then first let's look at the input that constitute.
What is causing it? I just want to get them to understand. Why is it?
Yeah. I mean, the materials we cannot do anything unless you tell us that.
Them?
Unless you tell us that we should use. Those days we used to have something at Kyeremateng.
Yeah.
At Kyeremateng was
You don't want us to.
If that
Why can't you localize your input?
But land, whether you like it or not, you need to have a land. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you have to buy a land.
Yeah.
Or you have to acquire land.
Yeah.
And the cost of it is there. And if you acquire it finished, you need to service it. And the cost of it is there. So before you can talk about the price of it, let's quantify it. When you quantify, you come to realize that the prices over there reflects the economy. Because what a rate that you quote for, let's say, the use of a bulldozer to come and clear an area may not be the same as London. The prices or the rates there are higher because of the economy. So I'm saying that if all these things are happening, then it is our duty as a nation to sit down. That now we cannot run away from the world. We are part of it. So the middle class person, a police officer and a ASP, how much does he earn? Does it reflect in the true sense of the economy? If it is, yes, fine. If it's not, if inflation, let's review it. And then even if we reduce the number of people in the public sector and then encourage growth in terms of employment, in terms of things that actually push an economy and reduce social factors, social things that we use in this economy, particularly in terms of having a lot of the social infrastructure, because that is all where our monies go. And when you ask anybody, so when we do this, but we are continuing doing it, and it's not bringing.
Because I get this thing about the cost of input is expensive and all the rest. It looks like most of the real estate firms are targeting the middle to upper class.
But that is always.
And you see that the buildings are then they are not occupied. It looks like you have to switch to the middle to lower and more priced so that you can have your asset being occupied.
You see, I will be very candid with you. When you produce for the lower group, it's the state that has to get it and give it to them and for them to use it as a subsidized rent so that they stop the containers.
The kiosks.
The kiosks. The containers.
Which are even not completed.
Yes, it is because the state has no money to have social housing. Those people that live in the kiosk containers are qualified under social housing. They are not the people I'm talking about real estate. The real estate is a business. The real estate is not social housing. Social housing is meant to augment and support people.
You think we are getting the argument and we are getting our arguments wrong? Or
Yeah. Because
real estate is supposed to look at
it is a business. You put up a property, or I build a property for you. You buy it. You can take mortgages and you can rent them out and also make an income and pay your mortgage. So we should look at it. We should distinguish between these two things. That real estate is a business. And the purpose of real estate is another form of sector of the economy that is like somebody going to do agric estate, somebody doing commercial real estate. And so real estate in residential is a business. But social housing is where the state, through the district assemblies and municipalities, get some funds, and then within a community, they build houses. The first social housing major ones that were done in Britain was done by the Richardson family after the Second World War. They felt that they made so much, decided to support. When David Cameron, when he came, he saw that the housing industry in Britain was so low. The state voted £450 million and said that builders will build and buyers will buy, so that they get a certain price. When you go to Germany, about 70% of the people who can afford to build rent. That is they going, because there's no point going to build, because mortgages is not an issue in Germany. It's rather bonds and bills that are. That is their economy. But unfortunately for us, it is the more that you can acquire properties, that is a business. You can rent them out. Like I'm saying in Ghana, it is a hedge against inflation.
Then I'll be coming back to get your thoughts about even making use of the land space, whether we should look at more high-rise building, could that be a way out? And also the land title challenges as well. This is the PM Express Business Edition as we look at the real estate and the land title challenge in Ghana today. And how can it also help in dealing with the challenge in the capital city, as the population housing census has shown us, or has revealed that there are a lot of uncompleted structures in the capital. This is PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. PM Express Business Edition, as we talk about real estate and the land title challenge in Ghana today, as the census has exposed some serious housing issue in the capital. And how do we address the challenge? And I know Kyeremateng is a lawyer and is the executive chairman of Come Properties. As you get his thoughts on how to get around this challenge, having been a lot of experience in this area, of course. And don't forget that also here at Multimedia, our housing clinic is going on how to help people get a better understanding of how to deal with this challenge. And this is part of our discussions to deal with this issue. And welcome back, and thank you so much for your time. And I was just asking that now, so if government is supposed to provide this funding, where is the money going to come from? Is it our taxes or going out to borrow? Because for the borrowing issue, it's another thing altogether.
Currently, the direct taxes, the government says they are making a penetration of only 13%. In fact, West African average is about 20%. So we are very low there. So I'm proposing, if it's being heard, that we should carry tax reforms in a form of reducing those progressive taxes that civil servants and other people who are already paying.
More tax reliefs to those public servants.
The progressive should be stopped, so that we'll do cross-board 10% into Tusodudu. And then we apply it. We apply it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this country. That relief that we give down there, that relief that we give to laborers, that anybody earning probably about 14,000 or a certain amount of money, you are exempted the threshold. We should stop that one and say that so far as you earn an income in this country, your 10% per month, we should take it.
Where is it going?
It's going to the government kitty.
For what?
That is something that we are going to use for housing. Because when you go to, like I said, after all, in the 1920s, America was down. America was not one of them.
People are already complaining that we are being taxed too much.
But I'm talking about payee.
Okay.
The payee, whether you like it or not, is a payee, and you have to pay. You see, the country needs money, and the money that is should be paid, because these are taxes that the government is not going to create a new tax. They are existing taxes. To me, if the government thinks that those taxes are not necessary, we should cancel it. But if they are necessary, then fine. We all tell ourselves that we have faulted before, and now let us change our mind and pay our basic taxes. And the payee is basic. So instead of getting somebody who earns a 10,000 cedis, he has to pay a payee of almost about 3,000 a month from his 10,000. You can say that pay a flat rate of 10%, making it 1,000 Ghana. So he has gotten a relief. That guy down there who earns 1,000 cedis and say that, the threshold says that if you earn 14,000, you don't pay anything, because there's a threshold that will say that you will get personal relief and those things all together. It always comes in the year. We tell you, no, this time it's a reform. Everybody 10% into so do. We will show up, because
that will make available funds to government.
With 15 million people, if we show up to about 45% of the penetration to collect the taxes, there will be enough money for the state to send it to the wholesale fund that will be used for us to the mortgage institutions to assess them.
And that could bring the pricing down.
Sure, because we are going to give you 25 to 30 years. And with the money, we get a lot of money from payee, which is standardized, like I always say property tax. If you get a property tax, it's not inflationary. If we are able to get all these funds, then the dollar will be stable. Because I have a friend who has lived in Saudi Arabia. He went there in 1998. And the money, the rate of $1 to their Saudi whatever money was 3.7 per dollar. Up to today, it's same from 1998.
They have a strong reserve.
Fine. It is all because of...
Now, let's come to another area where your expertise matters so much. The local assembly in the capital here. Space is becoming a challenge. Should we, and I stand to be educated on the current laws about putting up more of the high-rise buildings to make use of the land space, because it appears there's a challenge there per what the census has also showed us. Should we look at that way where local assemblies and municipal assemblies should put in place these laws, and I stand to be educated, where more of a high-rise building to make use of the land space?
936, that's the local government and decentralization law, says that the district assembly should acquire lands for housing developers, should acquire land for developers.
Is it happening?
It's not happening because Ghana will make laws, but we don't follow it.
So why can't we?
Ghana make laws, and the small lands that we have been acquired by the state, we are rather going to use it to do housing. It should be the local governments, the Adenta District Assembly should acquire the land and then give it to the developers, and then we develop the properties so that it extinguishes all interests that are so diverse in this country. It's simple,
and why are we not doing it? What is stopping us from doing it?
We are not doing it because Ghana, we talk too much and we do little.
Why can't we push for it to be done?
It's because that is a country. We need reforms. The reforms should be internal reforms within administrations. The structures. I'm a private man. It costs me so much to deal with government businesses because the structures are not working. They are not working. So what we have realized in Ghana now, in Accra, is that everybody is fighting over any land. And land gas has become a profession.
So I'm just saying that...
It has become a profession because we are not doing what is right.
How do we deal with the land guard problem?
The land guard problem, I don't know. Probably if we can change...
Speaking as a lawyer, how do we deal with it?
Oh, well, so far as law is concerned, there are too much law in this country concerning land that if that is what is being operated, then there will be no...
But Nana, it's about solutions.
But the solution to
challenge?
it is that people should be very honest when they deal with land and they finish. They should be honest with it and go by it. We need to create more court so that when you know you are lying and then I take you to court, it will not take
special court for land issues?
No. The courts should be, every district, every locality should have their own courts. When you go to London, there are several courts in all corners. In Ghana, the courts are too few. And so Accra, every district where the land is situated, within its municipality, should have its own court. It should have its own land title registry. It should have its valuation board. It should have its own planning office. So that all matters are dealt with over there. I don't see a country where we have 19 municipalities in Accra and we have one land title registry. What kind of country is this?
Now let's come to the
What kind of country is this? Because the law says that the land title registry is supposed to register, give me titles. And if you look at it carefully, a population of 5 million living in Accra municipality, and we have only one land title registry.
How is the land title issue contributing to the supply challenge and even the cost?
It is a very serious matter.
How bad
I have got a very complex problem, so I don't want them to think that I come and sit here.
No, not mentioning, not example, but I'm saying that it's the general picture. The general picture is that it's a hell.
It is a hell.
And how is that affecting people like you to provide housing at affordable prices to people?
I will beg not to go too much into that because because I'm one of the campaigners that made sure that the land title worked, and people who know me know that at a certain point we have to fund even the offices as it was at the Victoria about, because people didn't understand it in the 90s. So we spent that, we wanted to grow. But with all respect to my people, with all respect to lawyers who are land title, I'm becoming a bit disappointed. I mean, abuse of the discretions that they use is all right. And what I would say is that it is better for her to sit up as a country. There have been a lot of reforms going on. Yeah, as a country, there are too much things, and that as a country, we should be able to talk and say it and solve it.
How do we solve it?
We solve it by reforming a lot of things, and then there should be transparency in dealing with things that state powers should be able behind the scene to be contacting people to say their mind that they cannot speak in public. Because in this country, the more you say things in the public, it becomes a problem.
But I thought
the state should be able to, behind the scenes, should be able to monitor, get information, and resolve matters. And then investigate.
Do you think decentralization could help?
Basic.
We need it now?
Basic, now, immediate. I don't see any basis why in 21st century we still have land title registry, lands commission, and all at one location, and they talk about centralization. I go to Adenta. I should be able to have everything to do with Adenta. I should do my valuation there. I should be able to get the rentable values and get my rent payable per the valuer at Adenta. I should be able to raise issues, and Adenta High Court should be able to listen to my complaints when it comes to rates, when the valuation list comes. And the land title registry, plus this planning authority, plus this survey, should be in Adenta.
What has stopped us, Nana? I mean,
I don't know,
as a lawyer and being there, what has stopped that?
I'm deep in it. Everybody knows me.
But what has stopped us from doing that?
Every morning,
because
in the
it is contributing.
I eat, I sleep.
It is contributing to the high price.
And I'm saying that there's a problem in this.
So how do we solve it?
We have to solve it by the state.
From where? Ministry of Lands, government, presidency.
I'm not the state.
The minister responsible for land.
If I'm invited, and it's not public like this, I know what
the minister for lands and national, should he move?
He has in terms of this with policy and all that. This matter should go beyond. It should go beyond him. It should go beyond him. It should, because if we want to solve land is the basis for everything that we are doing. It's for the basic things we used to go and say that the economy, when you want to do business, the entrepreneur, the factors of production, land. And from 1890s, we've been talking land. From 1890s, in Ghana, they say that the chiefs own the land. But the chief does not collect, by the law, the chief doesn't collect any money from you.
You are a chief, Nana.
Yeah, but I don't handle
you own
the
land. Don't you own it?
I own the land because I buy the natural.
For the family.
No, I don't have that status to have that. But what I'm saying is that you acquire lands, and then when the lands are being acquired, they will tell you that these are stool lands. So for that matter, the person doesn't collect any money. It's the stool land administrator that will collect the money. The stool land administrator tells you have to pay your rent and then collect the money and keep a certain percentage and send some to the district assembly as per the constitution. But I realize that The person has taken his freehold values for the very leasehold that he has given to you, and then tells you for anything. So this is the beginning of the trouble.
Do you think the state should hold land in trust or should be held in the family?
I saw these provisions in the Constitution based upon the crown lands, the crown estate.
Family or
the
state?
The crown estate. When you check the crown estate, that was the Queen Elizabeth family land. And then they own so much lands in this Britain, including Northern Ireland and all those places. That's United Kingdom. So they had troubles with it, and then by 1760, George III then sat down with the Parliament and said that, look, we as the monarch, we as the sovereign, we want to give you the lands that has created problems so that the Parliament will raise army, the Parliament will pay for all the civil service factors, so that when you get money, give us some. So by so doing, as at today, Queen Elizabeth by 2012 Act, we call it a sovereign, we call it a Crown Grant Act of 2012, said that 25% of all the accruals that comes into the revenue should be given to them. And, so and 2018, the revenue was 1.9 billion received. 25% is coming to, but they don't have anything to do with the management of the land. It is invested in the trust commissioners. So Ghana, if we have taken a decision that stool lands are part of community lands and that it is managed by the stool land administration in terms of collection of revenue, then let us implement it fully. Because when we implement it fully, no chiefs would start going to go to the land and go and sell anything to you. But you go, they tell you that, oh, the administration of lands act, the constitution, and so every time there's confusion in this country. Land has become a problem because the laws that have been made, we don't respect them.
It's just not working.
Yeah. And then secondly, we should be able to apply the 1036. It's a good act. So if we want to stop land guardism, we should insist and then apply the rules as it is. Nobody should be able to obtain certain titles when the laws are not respected. But in this country, they are getting it.
Then how too soon we have to draw the curtain down on this, and I hope we'll be able to close the chapter on this. In terms of the whole argument about real estate challenge and land title challenges here in Ghana, PM Express Business Edition. I know that debates will go on in your homes and even in your offices about how we can better deal with this problem. Have a great day.